Hello, everyone. My name is Stephen Murray, and I'm the host of The Gift of Giving. Thank you for joining us this week. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, this program focuses on all the nonprofits, foundations, and 501c3s based here in the state of Nevada and are making our state a better and brighter place to live. This week's guest, I'm very pleased to welcome from our friends up in Northern Nevada, Desiree Quintana, and she's the Executive Director of the Intertribal Council of Nevada. Welcome, Desiree. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule and being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. First of all, would you like to give us a little brief overview of the Intertribal Council, when it was founded, and what the organization actually does? Give us an overview, please.
Certainly. So the Intertribal Council of Nevada is a 501c3 nonprofit. We are also the governing body of the 28 tribes in the state of Nevada. We were founded as a nonprofit organization in 1966 by John Dressler, who was a member of the Washoe Tribe of Nevada in California. And really the organization was formed to meet the needs of the tribes throughout the state at that time. The 28 tribal communities throughout the state of Nevada vary in size and population. And so really it was the purpose was to make sure that the rights and funding were available to meet the needs of the tribal members in each of the 28 tribes in the state.
Wow, 1966, and so you've been around a long time. And there are 28 tribes, and are all of them, have they all joined this council willingly? Are they all willing participants?
Yes, ITCN has bylaws and constitutions that were also created during the formation. And so each member tribe annually submits dues to be part of the consortium. And with that, our executive board is comprised of a tribal chairperson from each of the 28 tribes. And so they really do lead all of the activity internally within the organization, as well as meet for individual purposes and needs for individual tribes or commonly shared issues, whether it's political, environmental, when you're talking about tribal sovereignty or anything in particular that impacts the tribal members of each of those communities.
Wow, that's nice that you have a member from each tribe, so they're all fully represented. I've noticed in some of the programs that we're going to, and we'll talk about some of the programs later in the show. I've noticed that there are some programs, I think Head Start was one of them, where they said only 14 tribes are represented. And is there a reason? Is it because only 14 of them have signed up or want to be part of it? Or is
Yes. So individually with tribal sovereignty, tribes are able to apply and be recipients of state or federal funds on their own. And so that determination is made by each of the tribal governments. And I stated previously, there are some smaller rural remote tribes that may not have the resources, staffing to be able to do their own program administration for several of the federal grants and state grants that ITCN receives. So ITCN is a recipient on behalf of several tribes, and that is based off, again, by approval by the individual tribal governments. And there are pros and cons to either tribes signing off and applying for funding on their own. And then there's some benefits for ITCN because then if we are the recipient, we are responsible for the overall administration, fiscal responsibility, submission of applications, and then with all of the state and federal grants, there's reporting requirements that we're able to utilize our internal staff to be able to meet those needs of each of those grants.
Yes, cool. Now, what made you get involved in the organization, Desiree? You're the executive director. That's quite an accomplishment and quite an achievement. How did you get to that point, and what made you join the organization?
Well, I will start off and say, it wasn't not my dream job that I anticipated when I was younger. It is a lot of work. I actually was going to school full time at the University of Nevada, Reno. I do have my degree in journalism, and so I had an idea of, moving to a large city and working in an advertising agency. I feel like I'm very creative. I love to write, and so that was kind of my dream goal when I was younger. I happened to have a baby when I was 19, And so that kind of, slowed down the trajectory of my higher education. And so during that process of me going back to school a couple years later, I actually became aware of the Intertribal Council of Nevada because of the program services that are provided. I ended up finding out that they offer childcare assistance to working parents that are going to school or working part-time or full-time. And so I contacted the organization to see if I may be eligible to get childcare assistance. I'm sure, as you're aware, and maybe all of your viewers or listeners are aware, the cost of childcare is very high. And so supportive services like the Child Care Development Fund program are greatly needed by single parents or families that are low income so that they can continue to go to school or to go to work. So that's how I found out about the organization back in 2003. Luckily, there was a job opportunity as well. And so I applied and I started working part-time as an office assistant with the Child Care Development Fund program, where I was definitely able to see the benefits of the programs and services that are provided to working parents all throughout the state of Nevada. And so I stayed with the program during my schooling. I was able to graduate, got the much needed help and assistance financially to support the cost of childcare. And then I really became passionate about early childhood education and knowing how important it is to have high quality childcare for children from birth to 3 years old. And that's the base foundation for when children, build the synapses in their brains of learning, social emotional development, and really set them up for the success later on in life. And so that became my passion. And so forgot about my advertising agency dreams, and I've been part of the organization since in various roles. Ultimately became the program director for the Child Care Development Fund program, and most recently applied for the position of the executive director for the organization. So I've had the great opportunity of not only working and advocating on behalf of early childhood education, but also supporting and advocating for our Head Start program, our Women, Infant, and Children program, our Native Workforce Development program, our AOA Elders program. We have an Environmental Protection Agency tribal state liaison that works on environmental issues with the state and with tribes. And we also have an appellate court that does provide appellate court services to tribes. So again, fell in love with the organization. Definitely can see the work, even though it's hard work, it's overwhelming. But the impact that it has to not just children and families, but to elders and overall self-sufficiency of tribal members and non-tribal members throughout the state of Nevada. So I'm very happy to be part of that.
Yes, and well, congratulations on that promotion to executive director, and that's no small accomplishment. And you are having a huge impact. There's no question about that. And we are going to be talking about some of these programs that you have in the next section, along with we'll also be talking about your Court of Appeals. And we're just going to take a little sponsorship break right now, and then we'll come back and talk about those programs. Please stay with us, everybody. We'll be right back.
As a proud sponsor of the Gift of Giving, Thomas Dermatology is deeply rooted in its Las Vegas community and is always looking for ways to give back and continue to serve patients of the Las Vegas Valley. Amidst the rapidly and ever-changing landscape of healthcare delivery, both nationally and locally, our singular focus on patient care has remained constant. We have grown responsibly, enabling our team of skincare experts to provide all the benefits of a large practice while maintaining the care and relationships that comes with a small, private, local practice. For patients with cosmetic interests, Thomas Dermatology has an extensive aesthetics department featuring a team of experts who provide cosmetic injections like Botox and dermal fillers, as well as a full suite of state-of-the-art lasers and med spa services. The newest addition to the clinic is a facial plastic surgery division, allowing us to treat the aging face more comprehensively. These services are complemented by our extensive inventory of skincare products, offering patients the necessary and evidence-based ingredients to improve and maintain the health and look of their skin at home. Thomas Dermatology strives to be a part of every step in the patient's journey to healthy skin. We look forward to welcoming you and your families.
Welcome back, everyone. And thank you, Thomas Dermatology, for all your help that you have given me over the years and for sponsoring this program. It's much appreciated, as is our guest for today, Desiree Quintana from Intertribal Council of Nevada. And just before we get into all these programs, when you're dealing with 28 tribes, I think of it like, say, Europe. You've got all these different cultures and customs that you have to try and respect. And it's almost like trying to club together the unclubbable in a way, because they do have such different cultures. How much of an issue is it trying to respect the different cultures and customs from these different tribes? Are they all pretty much respectful of each other's customs and cultures?
So I would say while each of the tribal communities and tribal governments are different, there is a lot of commonality. The four major tribes within the state of Nevada are the Northern Paiute, the Southern Paiute, the Eastern Shoshone, the Washoe. And so within that, there is a huge push, I would say overall, to preserve and protect the culture and language. So there are a lot of activities that are happening with our tribes to make sure that those customs and traditions pass on to generation. And they also share a lot of commonality in some of the issues that occur, whether you're talking about lithium mining or mining in general in the state of Nevada, any environmental issues when you're talking about water rights, or a whole host of items that do affect non-tribal citizens as well, also affect our tribal community members. And so I would say there's a lot more commonalities between our tribes in the state of Nevada than there are differences, but definitely tradition, custom, language, there's some differences there. But I think as far as ITCN and the organization, the push is to be supportive of tribal governments and support each other in various issues that may happen on the political scale, locally, statewide, or nationwide. And then as well as, on those things that impact everybody.
Yeah, noble goals and causes. Let's talk about some of the programs that you have. The first one I saw on your website was Women, Infant and Children. You call it the WIC program. Would you like to give us a little bit of an overview of what that program does?
Sure. So our WIC program primarily focuses on providing supplemental foods, health, and nutrition to breastfeeding mothers, pregnant mothers, and children and families, and making sure that they have the nutritional services and referral in those first early ages of birth, up until 3 to 5 years of age, and also providing them with food assistance through our SNAP program that also, is funded by the state as well. So that program provides services not just to tribal members, but they also offer it to non-tribal members as an alternative and an additional resource than the state of Nevada. So we have an office here located in Reno, Nevada. We also provide services through our field office location in Las Vegas, and really throughout the entire state of Nevada. They travel and they do clinics so that they can be available to women who are, in need of services, or families, and make sure that they have clinic services available if travel and distance is a barrier.
Wow. That's nice that you're spreading that across the board. It's not just for the tribes in Nevada, it's outside as well. And then you alluded to this program earlier, the Child Care Development Program. And this is one of the programs where only 14 tribes of the 28 are actually participating.
Yes, that is correct. And so we have about 6 or 7 other tribal grantees who do apply on their own. But under ITCN, there are 14 tribes who are funded under ITCN. And so the main purpose of the Child Care Development Fund program is to provide high quality childcare and financial assistance to families and parents who may be, working or going to school, attending job training or job education opportunities. And those services are available for children that are birthed to 12 years of age that are a descendant of any federally recognized tribe in the state of Nevada. So they do not have to be a tribal member from Nevada specifically, but just a descendant. And so there is an income qualification as well. But I would say that I would encourage any parents that are looking at getting that assistance. I don't know if you are aware, but I think throughout the entire state and maybe throughout the country, there is a shortage of high quality childcare that is available. There are waiting lists and there are funding issues, definitely because of the cost of quality childcare is very expensive. And so it definitely puts a strain on working families. And so there is assistance available. This program does primarily focus on descendants of federally recognized Indian tribes, but there are state resources and assistance available for non-tribal children and families as well. And it's a great benefit to make sure, again, that parents have long-term sustainability, that can keep employment, continue with their education, and making sure that the children have access to early learning opportunities.
Oh, great program. And you also have Head Start. And is this part of the federal program, Head Start, or is it your own Head Start program?
So we also receive funding similar to the Child Care Development Fund program. It's funded under the Health and Human Services Administration for Children and Families. And so we do receive funding from the federal government specifically for Tribal Head Start. So similar to Child Care Development Fund program, we actually have 9 of the 28 tribes that we are awarded funding for under ITCN. And so there are Tribal Head Start centers located in each of those tribal communities where they provide early childhood education to tribal members, non-tribal members that are living or reside in those tribal areas.
Okay. There seem to be a lot of job opportunities. When I look for your website, there seem to be a lot of job opportunities in the Head Start program. Do people have to be members of tribes to apply for those jobs, or can they be outside of the tribes?
We welcome anyone that is qualified, that is passionate about learning or education. I think in general, historically, educators are not paid very well, as you can imagine. And that goes all the way from Head Start to childcare, all the way up through higher education. And I think definitely during the pandemic, we saw a shortage of applicants applying, not just for our Head Start job opportunities, but in general, we've had a lot of open job opportunities that have been vacant for quite some time. And so you can, be a tribal member, non-tribal member, but we are definitely seeking qualified individuals that really have a passion for working with our programs and services, and definitely specifically with our Head Start. We're looking to fill teacher roles. And so that is critical to make sure those services are available to children.
Cool. Good. Well, hope you manage to get some people applying from who are viewing this program. And let's talk a little bit. You have a family violence prevention program.
Yes, so we receive funds. Again, these are federal funds. We receive funding to provide supportive services, emergency housing, emergency food to victims of crime or victims of domestic violence, all the way from children that may be experiencing these situations or up to the elderly community. And so they do have a website, which is linked from our website at itcn.org. So if there is anyone that is, in need of emergency services or referrals, to be able to get out of those situations that they may be in harm or in danger, or even just understanding what positive relationships look like, that can be at the, relationship role. It could be internally amongst your family, between children and parents, or even when you're talking about grandparents. And so they are a great resource just to provide information, but also have a host of additional resources to help people that may find themselves in those situations.
Oh, Well, when we come back, Desiree, I'd like to talk a little bit about the administration on the elders program that you have and the Court of Appeals. So please stay with us, everyone. We'll be right back after the sponsorship break.
I started my career in financial services during the Great Recession, one of the worst markets we've ever been through. That challenging period was full of uncertainty, but every challenging period has its opportunities. Investing should never be like gambling. Your financial future is far more important. No one knows what the future holds, but here at Lucia Capital Group, our bucket strategy can help you prepare for whatever lies ahead. I'm Joshua Dowden. I've been working with clients for more than 16 years, and I can help you as well. My office is right here in the heart of Summerlin, just north of Charleston Boulevard. Don't let the stock market determine the quality of your retirement. Call me today for a free consultation at 702-508-6421. That's 702-508-6421.
Welcome back, everyone, and welcome back, Desiree Quintana from the Intertribal Council of Nevada. Thank you for being with us today, Desiree. Couple more programs I'd like to discuss before we go into the Court of Appeals. The Native Workforce Development Program. Would you like to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So our Native Workforce Development Program supports employment and training opportunities for tribal members throughout the state of Nevada. So they work to assist people that may be seeking higher education, academic, occupation, and job training skills to enter the workforce. And so those are provided. Again, you can access our website to get some more information on how to apply or what services are available. But again, that is another great program that we provide services for, so that we can make sure that there is supportive services for anyone seeking employment or training opportunities.
Well, it sounds like you've got an amazing cross-section of programs here that are all operational. Take a lot of time and organization to keep on rolling and keep on going. And the last one I'd like to talk about is the Administration on Aging, the Elders Program. Tell us a little bit about that program, please.
Our AOA Elders Program, we have 7 tribes that we are funded for, and that is another federal grant. And so we provide nutritional services to the elderly community within our tribal communities, as well as additional supportive services, whether it's looking at home care or equipment, supplies, any necessary items that elders may have a hard time or a challenge to get, and that could be medical equipment to personal care supplies and resources. And so our elders program director right now, Miller, she's in constant contact with our tribes and with the elder populations throughout the state of Nevada, and making sure that she's available to meet their needs in whatever form that looks like.
Yes, but it sounds with all these different programs, you need a full-time bookkeeper just keeping track of the federal funding and making sure that it all goes to the right places at the right times. And now let's talk about your Court of Appeals program, because that, I would imagine, you have to get the signing off of all the tribes, I would imagine. Is that accurate, or?
I guess it'd probably be very lengthy to kind of go into the tribal governments and tribal courts and the operations of how that functions. But pretty much our appellate courts, they have individual contracts, again, with several tribes. I think we're at 6 or 7 tribes right now that currently receive supportive services. So we have a court coordinator that works with their tribal court governments, as well as a few court justices that handle appeal cases, whether at the civil or criminal level. And that involves, tribes mostly in the western part of the state. And so those supportive services, again, are just to support the appeals and in different cases that may pop up within those tribal communities.
Okay. Well, we only got a Court of Appeals here in the state of Nevada about 7 or 8 years ago. So I think you guys are way ahead of the game with your Court of Appeals. Let me ask you this. Are people from outside of the tribes able to volunteer? Do you have volunteer opportunities for the public at large?
We always welcome volunteers. And again, we are a nonprofit organization. So although we're primarily funded by state and federal grants, on the operational side, I mean, it is greatly needed that we continue to look for partnerships and relationships, looking for donors that can help us with on the administrative side. So in that capacity, it's definitely welcomed anyone that may be interested in some of the fields of either administration, fiscal support, even historical preservation. I came on as the executive director in June of 2019, and was made aware that there is just a lot of artifacts and information, as you know, we were formed in the 60s. And so definitely seeking support either from college students or from other nonprofit organization or volunteer groups. We could definitely use some assistance on some of those capacity issues.
And donations, I know you said you get some state and federal grants. Do you get much in the way of corporation support or public donations?
I would say it wasn't a huge priority prior to me coming in as the executive director. But with my background in advertising and public relations, I did work with the University of Nevada journalism students in I believe it was the fall semester of 2019, to look at rebranding our organization, because that was definitely needed over the years, as well as really looking and pushing our organization as a nonprofit organization that hasn't been the priority in years past. So part of my goals in the development of the rebranding, and also making partnerships and relationships with other local state agencies and programs, we wanted to do a full, grand reopening. Unfortunately, that got halted due to the pandemic that came about in March of 2020. So now that we're kind of cycling and moving through those things, and our tribes, started to reopen, and we're kind of getting back to somewhat kind of normalcy. We are having those discussions again. I'm putting together a committee internally where we can bring back the focus of our rebranding projects, putting some campaigns together, and then also looking at partnering with other corporations or reaching out to partner with other organizations, either nonprofits, to put together some upcoming events where we can highlight our programs and services, as well as look at long-term planned giving, whether it's in form of 401k, trust, assets, and really remarketing and re-energizing our organization and outreach out really outside of the tribal communities, because I do think that there's a huge importance in developing partnerships with outside tribal agencies and groups. And so we definitely have that as a priority in 2024. Currently, we have our website going, which I also wear that hat as the website developer. So it may be a little outdated. I do apologize for that, but we do have a link on our website to donate. And hopefully your viewers and listeners can tune in sometime in spring of 2024. And we hope to be, advertising our organization, our tribal communities, and our programs and services a lot more, as well as looking into developing new and rebuilding some of our old partnerships.
Well, one, I don't think you have to apologize about your website, Desiree. I visited it, and it's very, very comprehensive. You've got a lot of valuable, informative information out there. And I know you said at the beginning of the program that it was your dream to go into advertising and reporting and things of that nature. Some might say it's divine intervention that you were meant to take that path, because now you're coming back into this organization here, and your experience and knowledge in the area of rebranding and advertising and what have you is going to put the organization way ahead of itself, I'm sure. So I certainly wish you luck. And is it true that you have an annual convention coming up in 2024? When's that going to take place? So has that been finalized yet, or is it still in the...
Yes, so we're tentatively looking at the dates of July 28th, I believe, to August 3rd for our 51st annual convention. And so according to ITCN's bylaws and constitution, there is a scheduled annual meeting where we bring all of our tribes together for an end of the year board meeting. However, that has over the years expanded, where we've also partnered with other local, state, and federal agencies if there's any additional training, resources that are needed to not just tribal members, but to our tribal leaders, tribal program employees. So we're talking anything from training for early childhood educators, for childcare or Head Start. We've also partnered with the university last year to put on an economic development track. We also have several courses and workshops on environmental issues. So various topics. We're currently just trying to secure the dates, and we're looking at locations, and from there we will be presenting the dates and the venues to our executive board for them to choose a location, and then we will get started on planning. And so if there's any other partners or agencies that are interested in joining us or supporting us in terms of sponsors or donations, we also have availability of vendor or informational booth space available. And so it's a great way to connect with the Native American populace in the state of Nevada, as well as other local state agencies. And so if anyone is interested, our information, our agenda, our workshops for the 50th annual convention that was held in 2022, you can take a look at our website and get an idea of what's expected in 2024.
And on that note, could you please give us the website and phone number, if you wish, of your organization?
Yes, so it is the acronym of Intertribal Council of Nevada. So it is itcn.org, and our office number is 775-355-0600. We also have a field office in Las Vegas. We have a field office in Elko and one in Winnemucca. So if you happen to be in any of those areas, you can again refer to our website or call our general number up here in Northern Nevada, and we will have someone direct you to those field office locations.
Wow. Desiree, it's been an absolute pleasure having you as a guest on our program today. Thank you for sharing the information about ITCN. It's a wonderful organization. You're doing an amazing job there, as is your staff and your volunteers. It sounds like a wonderful operation that you've got going there with a lot of valuable programs. So thanks for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. And I'd also like to thank John Stiles, our show's producer and station owner, for allowing me to host this program. I'd like to thank our sponsors, Thomas Dermatology and Joshua Dowden from Lucia Capital Group, and my business partner for the last 25 years, RJ Champion. You'll hear his message right at the end of this program. Finally, I'd like to thank you, our viewers, for tuning in this week. I hope you've enjoyed this program. If you have any questions or comments, please reach out to me, Stephen@thegiftofgiving.Vegas. And I hope you will tune in next week when our guest is going to be Michael Hollis from the Foundation for an Independent Tomorrow. Hope to see you then. In the meantime, stay safe, be kind to one another, and have a great week. Thank you. Bye for now.
Mr. R.J. Champion is proud to sponsor WWDB-TV's series, The Gift of Giving, and wishes the program much success. Congratulations and gratitude to the featured guests and the organizations they represent. Our community is well served by your tireless efforts to make Nevada a better state for all its residents.